executed and they will be maximally punished is a promise we are keeping. As we announced today, the charges being filed on 10 different individuals, 9 of them for looting in both the Palisades and the Eaton fires, and 1 for arson. An arson, by the way, not connected with the origination of the major fires, but an arson that occurred in Azusa. These felony charges are the result of a multi-agency collaboration that has been nothing short of incredibly impressive to be able to bring these charges this quickly. This collaboration includes the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles County Fire Arson Unit, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, and all our related cities that you'll hear about that have done incredible work under enormously stressful times in order to bring these culprits to justice. I'll go through the various charges that have been filed to date. The first set of charges are against 3 individuals, Martrell Peoples, Damari Bell, and Travin Coleman. What 2 of these individuals did is on the night of both January 8th and the early morning hours of January 9th, they went ahead and committed first-degree residential burglary and looting during an emergency and evacuation situation in a house in Mandaville Canyon. They have been charged with first-degree residential burglary. They've been charged with looting. They've been charged with grand theft. They stole over $200,000 as been alleged by the charging documents. And by the way, with respect to the charges I'm going to announce, please know this. The charges themselves are not evidence. Every one that I'm going to describe today is presumed guilty until and unless they are proven their guilt is proven by the government beyond a reasonable doubt.
Presumed innocent.
I'm sorry?
Presumed innocent.
Excuse me. Presumed innocent. Thank you for the change. Presumed innocent until and unless their guilt is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So back with Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell. They went ahead and committed these crimes, and when they committed these crimes, as you're going to see on this TV screen right here to my left, it was caught on a Ring camera. If you can play that as we're speaking. And the LAPD, through, again, such impressive investigation, worked with various leads and tracked Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell to an apartment in Koreatown. Surveillance was then conducted. When they attempted to leave, they were then apprehended, and a number of these stolen items from that residence was found with Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell. Mr. Peoples is is committed 2 prior violent or serious felonies. This is his 3rd. As a potential 3-strike person, he is looking at life in prison. And Mr. Bell, as a 2nd strike individual, will be looking at 22 years and 8 months in prison if convicted. Mr. Coleman accompanied Mr. Bell and Mr. Peoples out of that apartment building in Koreatown, went into a 2nd car. And when Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell were stopped, that 2nd car, driven by Mr. Coleman, kept going. It went through a light. It crashed into another vehicle. That innocent person in the other vehicle suffered a concussion. So Mr. Coleman has been charged with 1-count felony hit and run causing great bodily injury. As also a potential 3rd strike case, he is looking at a maximum sentence of life in prison. The 2nd case that we'll talk about involves Rudy Salazar and Lucia Hilrara Perez. They have been charged with 2 counts of each of first-degree residential burglary in connection with an Altadena looting incident. On the night of, again, January 8th, they went ahead and entered 2 different houses in the Altadena area, stealing property in each of the houses, and they were apprehended by the police. And they are looking at 6 years maximum on each one of the residential burglary counts. The third set of charges is against Roy Sims, Ryan Sims, Naquan Dewey Reddix, and Pierre O'Bannon. They are each charged with 1 count of first-degree residential burglary in connection with their crimes, where they went into a house in Altadena in the early morning hours and stole a variety of different personal property from the owners of that house. If we can show some of that property and the burglary tools that were seized.
No.
We do not have that. Among the property that you'll see that was stolen in that particular incident was actually the Emmy Award of the resident who lived there. That was, the police worked incredibly quickly in that situation, stopped these individuals, and were able to apprehend them and recover most of the stolen property. The fourth incident is an arson incident in which Jose Gerardo Escobar has been charged. Do we have that ready? This is an incident that occurred in Azusa, where Mr. Escobar has been charged with 3 different arson charges. He is looking at 9 years in state prison. This is arson that occurred at Pioneer Park in the city of Azusa. It was investigated by the Azusa Police Department, who acted very effectively and very efficiently in apprehending Mr. Escobar. Mr. Escobar, as well, has been not only has been charged, but he is set for arraignment today. So again, with respect to all these charges, as I said before, these charges are not evidence, and they are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But this shows the effectiveness of law enforcement. So when I said, and I have been saying over the past couple days, the question is not if, but when you will be caught if you engage in these crimes. The 10 charges, or 10 different individuals that have been charged today, are evidence of that fact. And the warning shot remains. Do not go ahead and engage in looting, engage in internet scams, engage in price gouging. Do not violate evacuation orders, and do not commit any of these crimes in which people are trying to profit from the tragedy of the people who have suffered from these various fires. What I'd like to now do is introduce both Los Angeles Police Department Assistant Chief Blake Chow and Los Angeles Police Department Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton to provide further words.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Blake Chow, it's B-L-A-K-E-C-H-O-W. You know, I just want to say on behalf of the Los Angeles Police Department, if you've followed this whole incident, all week we've been standing together as a regional team. The sheriff, district attorney, thank you, Mr. Hockman, city attorney, supervisors, city council members, because the only way we're going to have an impact and keep our community safe is if we stand together and we operate as a team. And I will tell you, in the Palisades area and the fires that we've experienced in Los Angeles, isn't it bad enough we have 40,000 people potentially that have been evacuated from an area, and then we get a handful of people that want to come up with activity to go victimize them. It's not enough that they have to worry about their properties and rebuilding and things like that, but now they would have to worry about criminals coming up there and taking advantage of them. So I want to really applaud our district attorney, and I also, for the charges that were filed, those are really important to send the message to the people out there that are not only thinking about going up there and victimizing the properties, but the stuff that may come after this in the form of scams. You're not going to get away with it, and this team is not going to let you get away with it. And for the residents of Los Angeles, on behalf of our police chief, I just wanted to tell the residents of Los Angeles, this team has your back. We have patrols up in the hills right now while the evacuation orders are in place to make sure that your properties are safe. And as you can see with the investigation, when we get evidence of a crime, we leave no stone unturned, and we find people, and we will bring them to justice and hand them over to the district attorney. So again, on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, thank you for this team. This is really the one way that we're going to ensure that this region is safe, and the people that live in our region are going to be able to come back to some sort of semblance of their normal lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alan Hamilton, Chief of Detectives, Los Angeles Police Department. I want to first acknowledge the dangerous and difficult work that's been done by our brothers and sisters in the fire service, especially our Los Angeles Fire Department employees, and our Los Angeles Police Department officers and employees, both sworn and civilian, who stood shoulder to shoulder with our firefighters from all over the United States and the world, really, to help fight this fire and bring justice to these individuals who are being victimized again. A couple of things on the investigative side. So for the individuals that were involved in the burglary up in the canyon, our investigation started immediately upon report, and we were quickly developing investigative leads on that case. I want to acknowledge the hard work of our Metropolitan Division Crime Impact Team, who dropped another case that they were working on and immediately went up on this case, utilizing multiple investigative techniques to identify these individuals, surveil them, make sure that a crime had actually occurred, verify that items were taken, and then effectively conducted surveillance and took them into custody in a safe manner, and identified them as the individuals that were involved. Moving forward, there will be additional investigative information that will be developed as this case progresses, and we'll be able to release more information to the public. But at this time, we're going to be limited in terms of what we can release. In addition, I think most people are aware there was an incident where various individuals were attempting to identify themselves as firefighters. We continue to make progress on that case, and I anticipate that is going to result in a successful filing as well. We've been able to develop information through our investigation that shows that there were conspiratorial acts that were involved in their activity, and I anticipate in the very near future we'll be filing additional charges against those individuals, as well as the misdemeanor charges of impersonating a public official. So I'm gonna close my remarks with this. We are aware that there are other crimes that have occurred, and my message to the public is this. Number one, we are aware of some of the individuals that are involved. The Los Angeles Police Department is going to continue those investigations and take them wherever they lead to. And I anticipate that we will be announcing additional arrests in the very near future for individuals that have been involved in activity within these closed areas. And there will be more to follow on that. The other thing I want to do is assure the community that at times you will see us out there in uniform and in black and white patrolling the area along with our National Guard partners. There are other times that you will not see us. We will be working undercover. We will be on social media. We will be conducting other investigations to bring every single one of these individuals that are involved in this criminal activity in the city of Los Angeles to justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now introduce Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. What you see up here, and you're hearing pieces of it, is probably somebody who is out here looking to burglarize, loot, or commit other crimes here in the county of Los Angeles, or the city of Los Angeles' worst nightmare. And I say that because standing around me, and you'll hear from a lot of people from the get-go, when I was communicating with Chief Jim McDonald, I was getting calls from the district attorney, Nathan Hockman, who says, hey, if there's anybody committing crimes, I want to know. I want the cases as quickly as possible. Getting cases from Martin Estrada, I'm not getting cases. Martin Estrada saying, hey, give me the cases. Everybody around me is hungry, whether it's the FBI, the ATF, all of our law enforcement partners. And why is that? Because we've seen hour and hour of people in our community suffering, losing their homes, losing their property. And just like everybody else, people are saying, hey, this is the reason I don't want to evacuate. I don't want to be victimized again. This is a strong message from all of us that we are here And when we catch people, we mean business. We're going to arrest in the field, we're going to investigate, and then we're going to turn it over to our partners. And depending if it's a state case and or a federal case, we got it covered here. So whether we are talking about burglary, looting, we're talking about scams, we're talking about the misuse of drones, whatever it is, we're going to get you. Do not make this worse than it already is. We're in the middle of this. We have a lot of work to do. You've heard me over and over announce arrests that we are making. When we're making arrests, the 34 that I had as of this morning, not all of them are looting and burglary. But please note, and this is a strong message to everybody, because we still have an active curfew that is in effect, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. If you do not have any legitimate business in these areas, stay out, because our deputies are stopping people in a constitutional manner, I may add, and they are asking people questions. On many occasions, we are involved in these conversations. We're coming up with narcotics. We're coming up with individuals who are carrying guns. And guess what? None of them live in this area. So what are they doing there? You got to think, hey, why would I, if I have narcotics and a gun on me, go to an area that has a curfew in it? Well, that's what we're dealing with. We're going to deal with that. We're going to continue to work. And I appreciate the work that all of these folks are doing to make sure that the people in our community do not get re-victimized. Stay out of the curfew area. Do not come here to do anything you shouldn't be doing. You're going to get caught. And as you heard from the DA, and then you'll hear from our federal partners, you're going to get hammered. Thank you. And by the way, on behalf of all of our community and the deputies that I'm talking to who are working their butts off out there away from their family on 12-hour shifts plus, thank you guys for the work that you've done and the work you're going to do, because our police officers and deputies want to know when they stop and arrest somebody that somebody's going to get prosecuted and there's going to be consequences. So thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Azusa Police Department Chief Rocky Wenwick.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd just like to say, on behalf of the city and our department, pass along our prayers and thoughts and condolences to all those who have lost a loved one or lost property. To add to the previous speakers, for us, we're outside that fire zone, immediate fire zone area. What I'd like to commend is our community for paying attention, being observant, and seeing something and saying something. At that time, the park had lost a lot of trees that were down. The city had started its cleanup process, made big piles of lumber and bushes, and they're all piled up, which made something for somebody to come by and say, hey, look at that. It looked like it'd be a great place to light a fire or cause some damage. The park was just 100 yards from the base of the San Gabriel Mountains, so we got lucky that day. And I'd like to thank the community for keeping their eyes out and ask everybody to keep your eyes out. In times of this disaster that's going on, people might not go to those areas because, just like the sheriff said right now, there are curfews, but they also know that law enforcement from all over the county is there to assist those areas, to assist the LAPD, assist the National Guard, to assist the Sheriff's Department and these other smaller cities. So it leaves vulnerabilities elsewhere, or what they perceive as vulnerabilities. But the community, please be vigilant elsewhere, because it just takes another fire someplace else, and we have to split our resources. So please stay vigilant. And again, thank you to everybody from the federal, LAPD, and I'd like to thank the district attorney for his aggressive support of law enforcement and letting people know that there is accountability when you make a decision that is not the right one. Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors Chair Catherine Barger.
Thank you, Mayor Hockman. I'm going to be short. I want to thank our incredible DA for focusing on an critically important issue. I've met hundreds of residents whose greatest fear, beyond the fact that they've lost their home, is that people are going to go in and steal whatever they have left. And for those that left their home and it's still standing, their greatest fear is they're going to go back and it's going to be looted. The fact that you are prosecuting and recognizing that there are victims beyond what anyone even realizes is refreshing. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank you on behalf of the men and women, Sheriff's Department, but law enforcement as a whole, who are out there each and every day arresting. And when I find out that some of the arrests that were made, there were no charges filed on the exact same thing done, it's time for us to let the public know that accountability is alive and well in Los Angeles County. And as a supervisor whose communities are suffering right now, I want you to know we are going to work hand in hand with the district attorney, with the sheriff's department, with LAPD to make sure that not only is your property protected, but anybody that tries to take advantage of this situation will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So I just really want to thank you, Sheriff Luna, to LAPD, to Chief McDonald, to you, District Attorney Hochman. Thank you for working together to recognize that we have to protect our communities. Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Supervisor Hilda Solis.
Thank you so much for having me, District Attorney Hochman, and also for inviting all of us here today, and especially want to thank our Azusa PD Chief Rocky Wenrick and his staff, and also all our public safety officers as well as our elected officials. I'm proud to represent the 1st District, but on this day it saddens me to hear that we had 2 individuals, one that you just heard about in Azusa, which is in the 1st District, that was caught in conducting an arson. The second was also reported to me from the city of Irwindale. So what I want to say is that we don't have to necessarily be inside the sphere where the fire is, but there are criminal activities that are going on throughout the county. And we have to be vigilant. And just as our PD chief from Azusa said, if you see something, por favor, say something and let us know what is happening. I want to say that even though there is a dark side to this, we have to say that there are also some good things that are happening. There are people who are being very resilient. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to visit over in Pasadena and in Altadena in the 5th District, and to go by and to see along Lake Avenue and Los Robles all these organic pop-ups of people wanting to share their love for healing and safety was an outpouring that I've never seen demonstrated in that manner in LA County. And I see it happening repeatedly over and over again. So let's not let these incidents that I know of in my district, but the others that are happening, that we have to do something and let people know that this is not what we are about here in Los Angeles and the city of Los Angeles. I also want to thank our sheriffs, but I especially want to thank the National Guard, because I do think that the Biden and Harris administration took note that we need additional boots on the ground. And boots on the ground make a difference. They may not be arresting anyone, but their presence certainly sends a message. And I'm happy that they are now housed over in Azusa, the National Guard Armory, and that we can also utilize their services to assist us and bring calm to the public that right now is so very nervous and also very upset. Brevemente en español, solamente quiero decir que en este reporte hoy día 2 cosas que pasaron eran en el distrito número 1, en Irwindale y Azusa. Y gracias a las personas que nos están defendiendo, la policía, los sheriffs, que están haciendo lo más posible para proteger a toda la comunidad. Quiero decir que les doy las gracias y que por favor nosotros ponen atención a todos los directivos que ellos ponen para proteger a nosotros. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
Good afternoon. Thank you to District Attorney Hochman, Sheriff Luna, and our law enforcement partners. Many of our communities, neighbors, friends, and loved ones are enduring the most horrific experiences of their lives. Multiple reports of people taking advantage in mandatory evacuation areas. This behavior is unacceptable. In the Palisades, someone allegedly impersonating a firefighter, wearing a fire jacket and a helmet to attempt burglary. This behavior is despicable. We cannot tolerate it. And as we continue to help people heal through this suffering, we cannot allow people to prey on the devastation that has already happened, and we will have plenty of time to work to rebuild. No one should take advantage of residents who have been forced to flee for their safety. Taking advantage of this disaster and the suffering that our fellow Angelenos are feeling will not be tolerated. And I want to be clear, that goes not only for individuals who are preying on these locations, but also for the corporations and the businesses and the price gouging and the ways that they're taking advantage of people in this very difficult moment. And if you see this kind of behavior, you can call 800-593-8222. We want to hold businesses accountable as well. We cannot be taking advantage of people who are suffering in these moments. It is critical that everyone follows mandatory evacuation orders and allows our first responders to do their job. The most up-to-date information can be found at emergency.lacounty.gov, and I appreciate the accountability that is happening while we work to rebuild.
I'd now like to introduce Los Angeles City Attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I have a dual role in our city. I'm both a civil lawyer for the city, and I am the chief prosecutor for the city of Los Angeles, and I'm here in that capacity. As chief prosecutor, I'm responsible for misdemeanors committed by adults within the city limits. Let me start with everyone who's been affected by the fires that have devastated so many lives. I've spoken to many of you on the phone. I spent a lot of time on the phone with particularly the Pacific Palisades and Mandaville communities. I commit that my office, along with the district attorney, the U.S. attorney, our law enforcement partners, and our county and city elected officials will be here working with you with all of the tools that we have. Today's press conference is about public safety and about the criminal side of what I do. I want to take 1 second to also assure you that we are laser focused in our civil side on legislation, on investigation, on disaster relief, on mortgage tax and insurance expenses, on cutting through red tape and bringing every single legislative, executive, civil, and law enforcement resource we have available to help all of you and all of us get through this disaster, recover, heal, and rebuild. That is what we as Angelenos have done for as long as I've lived in this city. I am really honored to join DA Hochman and this multi-agency coalition to talk about the steps that we are taking collectively at a city level, at a county level, at a state level, and with U.S. Attorney Martina Estrada at a federal level, to ensure the safety and well-being of all of our communities in the wake of the fires, and to hold accountable every single solitary criminal who seeks to prey upon people who've lost so much already. Whether it is looting, which usually falls to the district attorney, price gouging, which I think all of us have jurisdiction over, fraud, scam artists, trespass, which usually falls to me, or any other effort to take advantage of those who've been evacuated or otherwise affected by this crisis, let me add my voice to the chorus. My office will lean in to ensure that no individual gets away with illegal or predatory conduct. My office is prepared to hold everyone and anyone who engages in price gouging for housing, for shelter, for essential consumer goods, food, services, veterinary care, health care, accountable. Price gouging laws went into effect. For those of you who doubt it, they went into effect immediately upon the declaration of a state of emergency. No one, and I do mean no one, can increase pricing on any of these items: housing, shelter, food, water, clothing, pet care, health care, any other essential goods or services by more than 10% without violating the law. Violations are both criminal and civil. Violations of the price gouging statute are subject to criminal prosecution with up to 1 year's imprisonment and up to a $10,000 fine. Violations are also subject to civil enforcement, and my office has a public rights branch dedicated to civil enforcement. We have formed a price gouging task force within my public rights branch, and that is punishable by an injunction, by restitution, by up to $2,500 per violation. We are working with the mayor's office and city council on a dedicated intake system to address price gouging complaints in particular, and our lawyers and other legal personnel are already getting back to residents who have reported price gouging. If you are a victim of price gouging or aware that it is happening, if you see it happening because all of a sudden an apartment that was for rent for one amount doubles in price, please email my office to a dedicated email to this that is ATT, which stands for attorney, dot price gouging task force at lacity.org. att.pricegougingtaskforce@lacity.org, or call us at our dedicated price gouging line, 213-679-5035. As a result of this unprecedented emergency, so many of us face uncertainty about our futures, and it is the responsibility of everybody up here to ensure that those futures are bright, or as bright as they can be under the circumstances. I'm really deeply grateful to and humbled by the actions and the bravery of our city, our county, and our neighbors. To our firefighters, to our law enforcement, to our first responders and volunteers, my deepest gratitude for your heroism, strength, and unceasing commitment to saving lives and property across a vast area of our city and our county, an area much bigger than any of us thought possible. I thank our neighbors in California, in other states, and from across our northern and southern borders. I thank our federal government and our state for providing the National Guard and providing the resources, expertise, personnel, and equipment that they have. And I thank each of you, the press and the public, for helping us get out the message, for staying vigilant, for notifying us when something goes awry, for letting us know when you suspect arson, and for your resilience and commitment to our city, and your many, many acts of kindness and compassion in helping all of the families, friends, and neighbors in need. I am so proud to stand with our district attorney and our law enforcement partners. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce United States Attorney Martina Estrada.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Martin Estrada. I'm the United States Attorney. This past week has been devastating for our community. Our family, our friends, our colleagues have suffered immeasurable losses. Our hearts go out to all the victims of the terrible fires that have occurred in our area. But I will say, one thing I've seen time and time again is the resilience of this community. When the times get tough, we come together. That is no different with regard to law enforcement. The level of cooperation and collaboration with our law enforcement partners, federal, state, and local in this area in Southern California is top in the country. We come together, whether it be violent crime, human trafficking, you name it, we come together. This time will be no different. We will collaborate and work together and bring the same approach to holding accountable all those who engage in crimes related to this disaster. Now, the first priority is stopping these fires, stopping the destruction. My deepest gratitude to the first responders, the ones who are out there on the lines fighting for us. God bless them, they deserve our prayers. But another priority is ensuring that there aren't people out there who victimize others, criminal opportunists who take advantage of this situation. This sort of behavior is completely unacceptable, and because of that, it is critical that we all work together to hold such individuals accountable. Let me talk about what we're doing as federal authorities. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, and the ATF is fully engaged in this crisis. We are addressing three main areas of criminality. First, arson. This investigation is at its early stages, but I will tell you the ATF National Response Team hit the ground this morning investigating to determine the origin cause of the fire. Now, this group is highly experienced, includes investigators from throughout the country. This is the same group that was responsible for investigating the Aliso Viejo bombing, the same group responsible for investigating the fire on the Conception boat that resulted in the death of 34 people. They get the job done, and I'm confident their investigation will bear fruit. We are going to fully investigate the origins of these fires. We have powerful federal arson statutes to hold accountable with mandatory minimum sentences anyone who is found to have recklessly or intentionally caused these fires. Second, illegal drone activity. We have seen people flying drones over restricted areas. We need to ensure that our first responder personnel are able to do their jobs. We've already heard about drones flying over fires, hitting fire planes, disrupting them, taking them out of commission. That is unacceptable. It is illegal to fly drones over restricted areas. This basically means not flying over the areas where the fires are taking place. If you do so, you'll be arrested and you will be prosecuted. And be warned, you may not be arrested right away, but our investigators will continue their work. We brought these illegal drone cases time and time again, including a case a few weeks ago involving Vandenberg Air Force Base. As we speak, we have investigators issuing legal process, investigating social media posts of drone footage in the fire areas, looking through that footage to determine the perpetrators in order to hold those people accountable. If you're thinking of flying a drone over an impacted area, over a fire, the message is simple: don't do it. Third, fraud. We are not going to allow victims to be re-victimized. Certainly, as the district attorney talked about, looters will be held accountable by his office. But we will take on some of those more sophisticated fraudsters who are out there using other means to steal. This is one of the largest disasters we've ever faced. We will see huge amounts of relief money coming into this area, including federal funds. If history is any guide, including through the pandemic that we all went through, the COVID-19 pandemic, there are people who will attempt to steal that money. Let's talk about two areas of fraud we are vigilantly monitoring. First is federal recovery funds. The Small Business Administration, FEMA, and other federal agencies are beginning their efforts to support homeowners, renters, business owners with relief funds. During the COVID-19 disaster, we saw people committing identity theft to steal that money. My office can use mandatory minimum sentences against anyone committing such conduct to hold them accountable. Second is charity fraud. People around the world are looking for ways to support the victims. This is a good thing. People are generous in times of need, but it also creates an opportunity for fraud. Charity fraud is a donation scam where people are tricked into donating money to a group or a fake group that essentially provides no services for the victims. We will investigate any group that illegally diverts funds from the victims. And let me say, as I mentioned, generosity is a good thing. But fraudsters will target victims and generous individuals who want to help. They'll do so through many means, including social media posts, including calls, including texts. Keep this in mind. True charities will not pressure you into giving funds. If you come across deceptive individuals who try to push you to donate money, that raises suspicions, and do not donate. Make sure your money goes to trusted organizations, and beware of websites that may try to mimic real organizations. There's a lot of fraud out there and people trying to perpetrate it. In conclusion, regardless of the type of crime we are talking about, we will hold people accountable. There is zero tolerance for any criminal activity arising from these fires. Together, we will recover from these fires. But the ongoing work, the recovery work, including protecting the victims, and protecting those people who would like to help the victims and protecting relief funds will be ongoing. We will be vigilant. Now, before I conclude, I want to give out a number from the ATF. If there is anyone out there who has any tips on the origins of the fires, any of the fires, please text 63975 with your tip. That is, again, the number 63975. That will go to the ATF National Response Team. Thank you very much. I will now introduce to the podium Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Akil Davis.
Good afternoon. My name is Akil Davis. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles Field Office. I want to state my condolences for those who have lost loved ones, property, and are currently suffering. We at the FBI also have employees that have lost everything that they own. It's a traumatic event for all of us, all Los Angelinos, everywhere. I'd like to highlight just 2 lines of effort that your local FBI office is involved in. U.S. Attorney Estrada highlighted our drone efforts. FBI Los Angeles has created the nation's first counter-UAS task force. This task force has been deployed to the Rose Bowl, it's deployed to the Golden Globes, and it is deployed to all of these fires. We're out there every single day looking for drone pilots, looking for operators that are disrupting our most critical effort to contain these fires, and that is the airdrops. I'd like to foot stomp what our brothers and sisters at CAL FIRE said. If you fly, we can't. Meaning if you fly these drones, we're not able to use our most sophisticated technique to contain these fires and save lives. The second line of effort for the FBI, as U.S. Attorney Estrada stated, is significant fraud. As we have seen from COVID fraud, Hurricane Katrina fraud, we've seen earthquake fraud, all those monies that are pouring into our communities, fraudsters are sitting right now trying to figure out ways to steal that money. You heard Sheriff Luna reference the term being hungry. Our investigators, our task force officers, our deputies, our police officers, our investigators, we're hungry too. We're hungry to try to find the fraudsters that are stealing this money and preventing it from getting in the hands of the people that need it most. There are 2 ways you can reach the FBI. Please call 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any tips or you've been the victim of any of these frauds, or tips.fbi.gov. Thank you for your time today. I'll turn it over to DA Hockman.
So I'd also like to thank Jose Medina, Acting Special Agent in charge of the ATF's LA Field Division, Jessica Post, Battalion Chief in charge of the LA County Fire Department Arson Unit, LAPD Detective Wilson, LAPD Detective Carrillo, for their tremendous efforts, and all the officers and investigators and detectives that worked to make this day possible to announce these charges so swiftly. Over 30 years ago, Los Angeles endured the fires, the floods, the earthquake, and the riots, all in sequential order. And LA showed back then its grit, its resilience, to not only come back, but to build better. We're going to see that occur again. When we get these fires stabilized, we're going to show Los Angeles to the world that we have the grit and resilience to again build ourselves better than we were. And to the extent that these criminals want to get in our way, please let today be one example of the united front that they are going to face. Between the District Attorney's Office, the City Attorney's Office, and the U.S. Attorney's Office, we have well over 1,000 prosecutors ready to do justice on behalf of the residents of Los Angeles County. And working with us, we literally have thousands of officers, detectives, and investigators that will bring these criminals to justice. So thank you all very much for being here. We'll take questions now.
Jay Hockman,
Yes, in the back.
friend PR Martin Kosky, do you have a number of reports of burglaries in these zones, the evacuation zones? I mean, not ones where you charge people, but actually, what's CompStat saying?
These are ongoing investigations. Everyone that has not been charged is an ongoing investigation. So it's too preliminary to comment about those investigations today.
Do we have a total number, though, of arrests for looting?
Actually, Sheriff Luna would like to add.
Yeah, very good question. And before even coming here, I'm trying to inquire about how many burglaries there are, at least in LA County Sheriff's territory. It has been extremely difficult to do that. Let me try and paint a quick picture for you. We have many areas where residents have not been allowed to go back in since they left in a really quick hurry to save their lives. As we start repopulating some of these areas, we are going to get reports. I hope it's not too many, but I think we are going to get reports of burglaries and other crimes. So just a quick second to tell our community, as you do repopulate, and if you believe you were the victim of a burglary or any other crime, immediately report that to your local police station, sheriff station, whatever that may be, because unfortunately, I think we're going to get those. But that's why we don't have all that information now. You talk about CompStat, it'll all start coming in as soon as we start going back in there.
So, Scott Snowden, Santa Monica Daily Press. We talked about some people who were impersonating firemen, and it's been confirmed that they were in fact wearing the uniform and helmet. How did they get those? Were those stolen?
I can address that. So that's part of the investigation that feeds into some of the information. So we're not going to disclose those parts of the investigation at this time. As the prosecution moves forward, at whatever level it moves forward to, we will be releasing additional information, especially after we confirm which charges are going to be filed. At this time, we can't really discuss it.
Chief Hamilton, quick follow to that. That was the people impersonating. That was at the Palisades fire scene?
That's correct.
Were they found, do you believe they had also been involved in looting or burglary, or were they found stolen property?
We believe that they were conspiring to conduct illegal activity, including looting and residential burglary in the area.
Just let me follow that up, because I would just want to tag on to something that Sheriff Luna said, that, this has been a very, very chaotic scene for everybody right now, and we have a lot of areas right now residents have not been able to go back. I know that LAPD has reported 14 arrests for fire-related things, many of which you have seen here, but I think, for example, what the individuals that are arrested with the fire uniforms, we're pleading with the public, if they have any information that they may have seen these individuals in other parts of the Palisades, we need that information, because as the Chief Hamilton had said, this investigation is not closed, it's still going, and as residents begin to repopulate and we get more information, ring videos and things like that, those are the things that we're going to need to really get a picture as to how many crimes may have occurred in that area.
Cheryl?
Yes, Senator, right here.
Natasha Chen with CNN. I know that the investigations into the origins of the fires for Palisades and Eaton are still ongoing. As far as that task force activity is concerned, though, is there any indication that there's investigation into possible human involvement in the Palisades fire, whether that be accidental or intentional, and for the Eaton fire, a potential electrical transmission tower?
So we're not going to address at this point that part of the investigation. That'll be conducted by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. More information will be forthcoming from that investigation in the future.
Will ATF have a news conference? Anyone?
So we are speaking on behalf of ATF. We are coordinating with ATF on the investigation and any potential prosecution. We are at the initial stages at this time, so we ask for patience as we go through this investigation. Everything is on the table in terms of the investigation and potential statutes that are in play. I gave you the number. I'll repeat it. If anyone has any tips, I encourage them to text the following number, 63975. But given that the investigation is at its early stages, we cannot provide further information.
How many of the cases qualify for federal charges, and what will be the maximum sentence if somebody is accused of arson?
Anyone who intentionally or recklessly causes a fire can be prosecuted federally for arson, carries a 5-year mandatory minimum sentence, and from there, depending on the facts, the sentence can be much longer, including decades in prison.
Mr. Estrada, can you just, clarify, is this arson investigation just normal matter of course given the devastation, or are you acting off information that there may have been an intentional fire set, Palisades eaten otherwise?
I can't get into details of the investigation. I will say this is by no means the normal course. We're dealing with the largest disasters in our area ever. It's for that reason we asked the ATF National Response Team to get involved. Highly experienced group has done this throughout the country, including in our area before, with success. Thank you.
How many cases are on your hands?
The investigation is at early stages.
Don't you have any number of investigations?
We are investigating all the fires for potential arson. We are looking at all the fires. We're focused on the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire this time.
Sheriff Luna, given the level of frustration and misery for so many people who are out of their homes, there's been some reports of vigilantism. Are you concerned about this, and how do you mitigate it if indeed it is happening?
Concerned, yes. I think we're always concerned. As the days wear on, people, our community, our residents who live there, they're getting angry and they're getting frustrated. We're going to try and do everything we can to enhance our communication. That's why every time we get up here, we talk about the reasons why we are not repopulating as quickly as we would like. There's still a lot of hazards out there, for example. As we're speaking now, I still have search and rescue teams that are out there trying to recover remains of individuals, correlating missing persons to addresses that used to be there. There's a lot of work there. So again, I plead with our communities, be as patient as possible. There is no conversation that we're having as a county family with our city partners that doesn't include evacuation orders and warnings without, okay, when are we going to repopulate? Because we're hearing our community loud and clear. All of us, I know our supervisors are going out personally and listening to our community and their frustrations. We know it. We're staying on top of it. None of us have been off one day. All of us are working 16, 18-hour days, and we're doing this because we want to get back to normal as quickly as possible. But I do remind everybody, I mean, I just read the weather report before coming in here. We're gonna experience some significant winds. I'm very concerned about the dangers that we still face, concerns that our community still faces. So we're still in the middle of this, but please communicate with us, and we'll continue to work on putting out as much public information as we possibly can. We don't want our community to go that direction. Now, if the vigilantes you're talking about are people who live somewhere else and are going to come and cause problems, this team I have around me, we're ready to deal with that.
I see the show of support here today, and it's massive and impressive, but to someone who feels desperate, how can you reassure them?
Somebody who lost their home, we will do everything we can to make sure that you are aware that we're here, we care, we're going to respond, we're going to investigate, and the reason we're here today united is because we are communicating. We have been communicating from the beginning. We're going to be something that the rest of this country looks at and says, how did you guys do this? That's where we're at. That's the assurance I want to give our entire community. We are here. We are here for you.
The FBI.
Right, we have time for one more question.
A question for the FBI.
Right here.
You have pieces of that drone that hit the super scooper. Have you made any progress in that investigation? Do you have any persons of interest that you're looking at or speaking with?
So that investigation is ongoing, and yes, you're right. We have collected pieces of that, and we're putting that together as we would through a normal course of investigation. There's lots of avenues to investigate regarding that. So that's all I'm going to say is as far as that goes.
And have you had any more incidents with drones and firefighting like that?
So we are coming across probably 20 incursions a day. Now, our numbers vary a little different than what the fire department puts out, and that's just because of the focus on the area that the FBI is looking at. Our focus is a little bit more narrow than what the fire department's looking at. So, you know, the numbers we're putting out are probably between 20 and 30, and the fire department's is about double that. But the fire department is correct. There are that many drones in the air at any given time. And that's why we continue to stress to the public, stop flying your drones over these fires. Let us do our job. Let us save lives. Let the firefighters do what they do best, and that's put these fires out.
But no
Can you
persons of
confirm
interest at
that
this
two
point?
arrests
Not at this point.
have been made regarding the drone incident?
I'm sorry, sir. Can you say that again?
Can you confirm that 2 arrests have been made regarding the drone incident?
I'm going to leave that up to my state and local counterparts behind me. Thank you very much.
I can tell you from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, we've arrested 3 individuals for 2 drone usages.
All right, thank you all for coming today. If you want one-on-one interviews, you can do that at this point. I very much appreciate it, and stay safe out there.